Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very first episode of something brand new. We're going to be painting a very tiny acrylic landscapes. Happy little paintings, super quick and easy, very fun to do. So, basically, the reason that I'm starting the show is that since the COVID-19 shenanigans, I've been feeling a little bit lost, a little bit lonely, don't really know what to do. I've been unemployed. But one thing I do know for sure is that one day when I grow up, well, I'm a 32-year-old man, but one day when I grow up, I want to be a full-time artist. So why not take this opportunity to be, working on the dream, presenting my way of working to you. We're going to paint super fun, tiny little acrylic paintings. All you need is a couple of brushes from the dollar store, maybe a couple from the art supply store if you want to go fancy. You need some acrylic paints. You can get some budget ones at the dollar store, but I highly recommend getting some student level acrylic paints over at your art supply store. Makes a ton of difference having good paint. And then one thing I also recommend is you need a cup of water, obviously, to clean your brushes and stuff, but also a little bit of medium. And medium is something I figured out way too late. Just get some that's a little bit of there's like tons of different ones, but the one I always get is like the medium that makes things a little bit more transparent and a little bit more fluid. So you can get the fluid kind, the glossy kind. And then you're all set. So basically what I'm doing right here is I grab my brush, I grab some blues, I'm laying in a little bit of sky, I put some blue over at the bottom where our little lake is going to be. And then I mix that same old color that I already had on my brush to layer in a bunch of clouds, or at least they're like the shape of clouds. We're going to touch them up a little bit later. And right here, right now, I grabbed a different kind of brush. And I'm just going into a little bit of a purplish, bluish, greenish color. It's probably a mix of all kinds of colors, like a little bit of red, blue, brown, and a little bit of green, maybe? Anyways, it doesn't really matter too much, as long as it's dark. And I'm just blocking in what's going to be our happy little mountain in the back. And yes, I'm making Bob Ross references because the man is a legend, and he's how I learned how to paint. I always just the way I started to paint was just put one of his episodes on my screen and just press pause whenever I got confused and try to follow along. And took my time, and everything the man says is true, and hopefully everything I say is true too. That you can learn how to paint that way. So here I'm blocking in a bunch of different hills over to the side. And just using that same old dirty brush. I haven't really cleaned this brush at all, but I am swapping to a very small brush right here, right now, just to layer in a couple of these, or at least like give these clouds in the background a little bit of shape. So I'm blobbing in a little bit of this, just white over on the edges of these clouds, and I'm just rolling the brush back and forth, and whatever paint falls off, that's going to be our highlight on these clouds. And then I grab a dry brush, a very fluffy brush, just to soften up the bottom parts, but I don't really want to erase all of the white that we've just put on. Just a very gentle touch to blend a little bit of these highlights and fluff them up a little bit. So we're going to do it one more time, because the more layers you add up, the more detail will appear in your painting and the more realistic it's going to look. So we're just blobbing on a little bit of white, and then we grab a soft dry brush and we smudge it up a little bit, but very subtly. And then here with that same very tiny brush, just making sure that the edge of the brush is really chiseled. I'm just going to layer in a little bit of snow on this mountain right here, just on the peaks and every kind of like left side of the mountain. Whatever is catching the light, and in this little painting, the sun is shining from the left. So we're going to have our bright snowy bits over on the left side of each mountain. Something like that, and already there's a little bit of distance appearing. And then I mixed the white with some cool blue, and I'm just layering in a little bit of shadowy snow. And that's always, when the sun's shining, it's always like a bright, vivid light blue. So, but that's only on the shadow side, so we're layering that in over on the right side of each mountaintop. And that could be a little bit here on the side of this hill as well. Can't forget about him. And then maybe there's some in the foreground. Just wherever it feels good to put it down. Here I've mixed a little bit of medium, and I've put in a little bit of white, and just layering it on here at the base of the mountain, grabbing a fresh, soft, clean brush, and I'm just smudging that up to create this misty, hazy effect. So what looked like white blobs is actually full of medium and the transparent kind. So I can just put it on, smudge it on, looks horrible, grab a clean brush, and then all of a sudden all of this foggy, hazy effects appear and it looks awesome. Really pushes back that big old mountain. And then we can smudge it up a little bit here at the bottom to create a little bit of a reflection of that mountain in the water. I'm not sure if it's going to stick around, but we'll just put it in for now. Here I've got our thin brush again, and I've layered it up with some brown and some black. Actually, maybe not black. Maybe it's just like brown and green, actually. And just with the very chiseled edge of the brush, I'm just going to push in a couple of these trees and bushes and just a bit of a line of where these rolling hills are coming down. And imagining having a little bit of a forest coming down here on the lakeside. And that also really pushes that mountain all the way far back, as if you're looking far into the distance. And as a general rule of thumb, things that are further away tend to be a little bit more blue. And then things that are closer to you, they get a little bit more green and yellow and stuff. A little bit warmer colors, let's put it that way. And everything that's further away, just by the color of the sky and air molecules smudging things up, things get a little bit more cold, so blue and purplish. Here I got some white on my brush, just tapping in a little bit of a waterline, cutting off this rolling hill, but using the green that I laid in earlier to create a little bit of a reflection, just smudging that up with the new paint on the brush. I'm going in for round 2. Very gentle touches these. You just want the littlest of sparkles falling off your brush right here, just to create that hint of a waterline right there over on the side of that rolling hill. And we're doing the same thing here in the far distance, but the lightest touch. Now I smudged it up a little bit, but that's no big deal. And we just grab a skewer. Hope you have a skewer lying around. And you can grab that paint and make it sharp again just by dragging that skewer through the paint and smudging it up. And that way we can fix it. No big deal. No panic. No stress. No stress required. Here I got a little bit of blue and a little bit of green and a little bit of white. It's very vivid. And like I said earlier, the things that are closer to you, they get a little bit more green. So while most of our lake is like this bright blue color, just like the sky is, when the water gets a little bit closer to us, so to the foreground, we want it to be a little bit more green, and that creates a little bit more distance in the body of water. Touching up this waterline just a smidge. And the more details you add in this way, the more real it's going to look. Just all these little ripples and things and sparkles in the water. Because the sun's out. It's a nice day. It's a nice day right here outside right now too. Sun's out. Big old fluffy clouds, but they're very, fluffy and sporadic. And there's even like a hint of like a little beach here in the left corner of that lake. And maybe we can use some of that same yellow right here in the bottom corner on the right. Just a touch of highlight here and there. Little grassy, bushy things growing, having a good life at the lakeside. And the closer we get, the more yellow it becomes, as we discussed in our general rule of thumb. And the more green it gets too, like the more vivid. You can drop in a little bit here on the other corner too. Don't want to have him left out. He needs some grass too. And all of these strokes are very gentle. Don't want to blob too much. Just like gentle taps, just with the edge, just chiseled edge of the brush. Definitely not overdoing it. We're staying cool and subtle. I'm mixing up a tiny bit of shadowy color. It's a little bit on the blue side of things. I figured there might be a little bit room for depth in the hill itself. So I'm just tapping that in real quick. And the more layers you add, the more detail is going to show. So layer after layer after layer. And then all of a sudden, all these details just pop out of your painting. It's so much fun. Little grassy things here over on the water side. Gently touching. Righto, that's going to be our painting for today. Hope you all had a good time. These are super fun and easy to make. They're only 7 by 7 centimeters. Go get yourself some. Paint along. It's so much fun. If you had a good time watching the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and then we'll catch you on the next episode. Have a good time, everybody.